I think we can then start the presentation for today. So thank you very much and welcome for today's Winged Wednesday webinar. I'm Christopher Imakando. I'm the Capacity Development Officer for Bats Without Borders. I'm going to be the host for today. We then go to introduce our speaker for today's Winged Wednesday webinar, who is Taonga Mwale. Taonga Mwale has a very strong background in field ecology and wildlife conservation research. She has held research positions in multiple projects focusing on mammals, birds, and also their associated habitats. Taonga is currently working on Bats Without Borders multi-species urban conservation project focused on improving habitats for nature and people on golf courses. This is being done through protecting, enhancing, and also creating a diverse range of habitats for bats, birds, and invertebrates, and also amphibians. In parallel, Taonga is rolling out the Classroom Without Walls, a participatory and inclusive environmental education program that has been developed by Bats Without Borders, which is designed to create awareness among learners about biodiversity, the role of bats in ecosystems, and also the importance of conserving natural habitats with community schools in Lusaka, as well as promoting citizen science through public field surveys and work parties. With that introduction, I'll stop sharing and then be able to hand over to Taonga to take it out.
Hi, Chris. Thank you very much for that powerful introduction. It is indeed a great honor to be hosting today's Winged Webinar Wednesday. I'm very delighted to share with everybody who has joined in today. Thank you very much for making a time to join in today and share in the conversation about the Habitat Connections project. Let me just share my screen so that we can kickstart our discussion. And if there are any questions, please pop them up in the chat. And we'll be able to have a Q&A session at the end of our discussion where questions can be addressed. Okay, perfect. So no need to introduce myself. Chris, who is my former lecturer as well at the Copperbelt University, has done a wonderful, wonderful introduction. I wouldn't want to add or subtract anything. So we will just jump right into it. Okay, so the Habitat Connections project is Bats Without Borders' first ever urban conservation project. And this is a collaborative project between Bats Without Borders, Birdwatch Zambia, and it's generously funded by the Fairways Foundation, also co-funded by the Caring for Conservation. Okay, so thank you to our funders who, without this funding, we wouldn't have been able to carry out the works and activities that have been required for the success of this project. A huge shout out to our partners and funders. So our other partners, in-country partners, include the Lusaka Golf Club and Bonanza Golf Course. As mentioned earlier during the introduction, this project has been working closely with golf courses, and I will highlight as we go on within our presentation why golf courses and the like. And we also have had school partners, including Chateauneuf Primary School, Ellensdale Primary School, Kalingalinga Primary School, and Mutenderi Primary Schools. These schools have played a huge role in our environmental education outreach program, which I'll also highlight on as we dive into our presentation. Okay, so like I had mentioned earlier, the Habitat Connections is an urban conservation project right in the heart of Lusaka, Zambia. Okay, so this project is focused on ensuring that we explore how best green spaces in Lusaka can act as ecological stepping stones for wildlife, and also ensuring that we can improve connections between people and nature right in the heart of Lusaka. Okay, for context, those that might not be aware of where Zambia is. So Zambia is a Southern African country. It is landlocked. We rarely get to see beaches unless when we travel out. So yes, it's a landlocked country, right, in Southern Africa, surrounded by several other countries like the Congo DRC, Tanzania, Botswana, Malawi, Angola, and it is right there here. The project has been rolled out right in this province here. If you can see my cursor, it's been rolled out in Lusaka province across two districts, that's Chongwe district and Lusaka district, where the golf courses are located and the schools that we have partnered with on the project are located. Okay, so our study sites include the Lusaka Golf Club, like I highlighted earlier. So the Lusaka Golf Club is around 40 to 60, around approximately 40 to 60 hectares, and it's an 18-hole golf club that was established way back in the day. It is a great site for golfing here in Zambia. And the Bonanza Golf Club as well is an 18-hole course, bigger than the Lusaka Golf Club. This Bonanza Golf Club is around 100 hectares, over approximately 100 hectares. So you can see the difference in terms of like the geographical position of two golf courses. I'll go back to the Lusaka Golf Club right here is embedded within the city. You can see it's within a built-up environment, whereas the Bonanza Golf Club is right in the farming areas. You can see around here, these are crop circles, different huge commercial farms surrounding this golf club. Okay, so why habitat connections? Why does habitat connectivity matter? Why should it be something we should be concerned about? So habitat connectivity is very important in the sense that we are experiencing biodiversity loss due to anthropogenic factors, human-induced factors such as urbanization. Cities are growing as the population is growing, and we are losing our nature due to this growth in population because there's a high demand in terms of agricultural land. There's high need or demand for spaces for people to build their beautiful homes and the like, hence cutting down on or rather reducing spaces for nature. And as cities expand, this leaves habitats fragmented with no ways of wildlife migrating from one area to another. And we know that migration is very vital in maintaining wildlife health or maintaining wildlife vital populations because wildlife needs to migrate in order to explore other resources in other areas and the like. And also, African cities remain underrepresented in terms of urban ecology. I'll tell you, it takes quite a lot of scouting just for you to come across studies that particularly focus on urban ecology in Africa and narrowing it down to Southern Africa. So this project definitely plays a huge role in contributing towards that data gap. Okay, and the other reason as to why, like I had highlighted earlier, we are losing our forests, our habitats at unprecedented rates. And according to P4 aircraft, they had a study where they analyzed how much forest was lost between 2010 and 2020. It was discovered that we had lost about 3.9 million hectares in Africa. Globally, that was around 20 to 30 million hectares. But in Africa alone, we lost about 3.9 million hectares in terms of our forest. And if we put this into perspective, for our soccer fans, if there are any soccer fans joining us today on this presentation, this is equivalent to about 381 million soccer fields. So that's quite massive. We are losing our forests at a very, very high rate. So that's 381 million soccer fields, and these fields are usually quite large. Okay. Okay, so what is the Habitat Connections Project? Like I had mentioned earlier, it is the first ever urban habitat conservation project by Bats Without Borders and the first ever multi-species focused project. Of course, we love bats. We love everything about bats, but this project was focusing on also other taxa such as amphibians, birds, invertebrates, and the like, right in the green spaces such as the golf courses. And also the main aim of the project has been to connect people and nature and just to re-establish those links between people and nature, and so that when people think about nature, they just don't think about nature in terms of protected areas, but even just what's within our environment. It has also been a collaborative initiative between conservation organizations, golf courses, schools, universities, as well as communities that have played a vital role in ensuring that this project is successful. And also this project is a model for multi-species urban conservation right in Southern Africa. So I had mentioned that there's a data gap, and this project also contributes to that data gap in terms of urban conservation. Okay, so the aims of the project, the Habitat Connections project, have been to enhance spaces for nature within built-up areas or within urban areas, and also to form a case study for multi-species conservation in Africa. So this is the baseline towards multi-species conservation, and also to improve awareness and connections between people and nature. This has already been highlighted, as well as improving connectivity and creating a diverse array of habitats for multiple species that I had highlighted earlier: birds, bats, insects, as well as amphibians. Okay, so why golf courses? Why golf courses of all green spaces? Why did we engage golf courses? So you can also have a hint from our funder, Fairways Foundation, is very much heavily focused in the golf industry. And yeah, golf courses also are very great spaces that serve as recreational spaces for sports and leisure. They're mainly created for the game of golf. And also they are aesthetically pleasing. The aesthetic value of these spaces is quite amazing. And most people that haven't been to the golf course and go there for the first time, they are just hit by the landscape, how beautiful it looks. And also, yeah, the other reason as to why golf courses is that they help improve air quality within built up areas where we know that there's less tree cover. They help in temperature regulation, water management, even though I will I'll highlight on the contrast on this one. And they also serve as the social interaction areas where not only golf is played, there are other social activities that occur right at golf clubs or golf courses. Other than that, they also serve as biodiversity support. This is also evidenced through some of the great sightings that we have been able to encounter right in the golf courses that I'll highlight on as we proceed. Okay, so golf courses act as wildlife refuge in degraded or disturbed environments. So they help in filling that gap as refuge spaces because of the tree-lined fairways. There are fairways that have some woodland patches that can serve as great spaces for wildlife. As you can see this picture right here, this picture was taken at the Roost The African straw-colored fruit bat roost right at Lusaka Golf Club. So these bats come in yearly during the migration from October, somewhere around the state, up to December. So this is the quite well-known roost around the club. Okay, they also provide other alternative habitats such as wetlands, scrubs, grasslands, and also they have low disturbance levels. There's low human interference. So that's the reason why most of these species find their safe net right in the golf clubs. So for nocturnal species, there's less light around these areas. So you find that they feel safer and safer to colonize and occupy these areas because they're obviously not exposed to predators and the like. Okay, so these are some of the other habitat types that are provided within golf clubs. We have rough areas with some of the seasonal water patches that can serve as very good breeding grounds for amphibians and other aquatic species. Okay. Minimum interference from the management. As we might be aware, it takes quite a lot for a golf course to be up and running. And yeah, they have huge investments in terms of turf management, the beautiful lawns that we see for them to stay intact and beautiful as we see them when we go to golf courses. And then we have these other areas that have low interference from management. Okay, so remember I had highlighted some of the studies that have been done globally as to why golf courses are important in terms of habitat connections and also biodiversity, safe space or refuge. So these are some of the studies that have been conducted that give evidence to that fact that golf courses indeed they serve as safe havens for wildlife, and they also play a huge role in maintaining species diversity in peri or urban areas, depending on where that golf course is located. And I'll be presenting this as a contrast to the other studies. There have been some other studies that have highlighted how golf courses can have a negative environmental impact in terms of the water usage. So there's millions and millions of tons of water that is required to manage the irrigation system of a golf club. And also there's also studies that highlight how some of the pesticides or some of the herbicides they use to manage their turf can leach off into underground water. There's also been studies that highlight on fragmentation, as golf courses can cause habitat fragmentation, cutting off species access to other habitats. So there's these other studies that have been conducted and highlight on the other negative environmental impacts of golf courses. But if golf courses are managed sustainably and effectively, they definitely play a very huge role in maintaining our biodiversity. Okay. Are you able to see my screen quite okay?
Yes.
Okay, amazing. Okay, so moving on, we have been running an inclusive environmental education program called the Classrooms Without Walls. This has been a very, very exciting activity, or rather program. Especially for me, I have really enjoyed engaging with youths, young learners about bats, biodiversity, and just environmental stewardship. It has really been very, very impactful. Yeah, so in this program, we have bringing environmental education just beyond traditional classrooms. And if you're Zambian, you would agree with me to say environmental education, especially in community schools, as that was our target. Community schools or government schools right here in Lusaka is not something that is easily accessible due to the high number of students that are back in school now due to the free education policy. So it has been one of the really impactful programs as part of the Habitat Connections um, program. So we conducted these classrooms with pause with 4 primary schools. That's Ellensdale, Chateauneuf, Kalingalinga Primary School, like I had mentioned earlier, our partner schools. And we have been rolling it out to grades 3, 4, 5, and 6. So grade 3, 4, 5, and 6 was at Chateauneuf Primary School, and then the other 3 schools we rolled it out with grade 6 classes. So the age range of people or young people that were involved in our program ranged from 8 to 18 years. Yeah, and I'm sure there could be a question to say, I thought this was a primary school program. Yes, it is a primary school program. There's some young people, especially in the outskirts schools, that start their school early. So they find themselves in grade 6, even at 18 years old. So yes, it is this is primary school education program. So in this program, the classrooms that was we engaged young people, over 500 young people, and it is comprised of 6 structured lessons that focus on bat ecology and biodiversity. Very comprehensive, and I indeed learned a lot as well from these lessons. So we start off with Classrooms Without Walls introductory lesson, where we introduce the learners to the program. And in this introductory lesson, we first evaluate the young learners to see what they know about bats and the environment before we offload the contents of the lessons. And we also introduce them to some of the amazing cartoon characters that we have, our PR, so to say, our PR bats that we introduce the young learners to. And these are characters that they get to see all across the lessons. And then we move on to lesson 1, which highlights on bats and bat biodiversity, bat diversity, to see how many bats we have around the world and narrowing it down to Southern Africa, and also highlighting to them on several bat families, especially those that are found in Southern Africa. And in these lessons, we also have games, interactive games, where the young learners participate in ensuring that they really understand and relate with these lessons. Okay, and then we move on to lesson 2, where we highlight on where bats live and the bat babies. So we discuss on what roosts are, any type of roosts that they are aware of. And we also highlight on bat babies, what a bat baby needs to survive, and various other games as well in these lessons. Then we move on to talk about what bats eat. And in this lesson is where we get to solidify and introduce and solidify the concept of echolocation. We also have a bat and moth game, which also highlights on how bats navigate around and find their food. Then we move on to lesson 5, lesson 4 rather, which highlights on how bats are fantastic flyers, the shape of their wings, how they fly, and why they need to fly, why that is important for them. And then we move on to lesson 5, which is a very interesting and one of my favorite lessons that highlights on how we can help bats. I get to learn a lot from the young learners on how they just highlight and share with us during the lessons on what they can do to help bats. That's after knowing everything they now know about bats. And then in this last lesson, we also evaluate them to see how impactful the lessons have been, to see what they have gained from the lesson, if there has been any perception change from the time we wrote out the program to the time we are completing the program. So it is quite packed. Each and every lesson has about over about 20 or 15 to 20 slides in them. Okay. So these are some of our pictures, some of the pictures from our classes. You can see the young learners paying particular attention to the lessons, and they're not just classroom lessons. We also spend quite some time on the outdoors as well, just exploring and just yeah, some of the games require us to be outside and just to reinforce everything we learned in the classroom. Okay, so these are some of the young learners from Ellensdale with okay, and the other approach we have taken is the co-design approach. So we have had co-design workshops with the young ones. So with the co-design workshops, it's basically ensuring that we or share ideas with young ones. We rather share ideas on how best they can be able to design spaces for nature within their environment. So the only thing that we do during these co-design workshops is just to prompt the young learners to think on how best they can make their environment sustainable enough, or they can make their environments conducive enough for wildlife to live. If let's say they would want to improve their habitats so that they can provide food for wildlife, if they would like to provide alternative habitats for wildlife, such as bird boxes and the like. And then it's all up to them on what they design, and what they design is what we run with, and ensuring at least that these conservation outcomes are rather shared and not imposed on what we think is best for that particular environment. But if it's coming even from the people or the young people that are involved, there's that shared responsibility and sense of ownership in also sustaining these same activities or same restoration activities that are rolled out or implemented in that particular area. Okay, so see, these are some of the beautiful drawings from the young learners from the co-design workshop. I tell you, these kids are so artistic. I don't think I have this skill, of drawing skill. So this is one drawing that interested me. One of the young learners drew this huge bat right here coming from a bat box, and they also put a sign here to do not disturb the bats. We also have another young learner here who drew how they want their school environment to look like. They want birds around, they want more trees, they also want bird boxes and the like. And they also have a sign here to do not cut trees or do not disturb our areas as well. So it just shows how these young learners are really inspired by the need to also protect nature through what they have learned also through the lessons. Okay, so we have other young learners who want beautiful pollinator gardens. They want to put bird baths within their school environment. They want more fruit trees. And one question I get is, oh, so we'll be sharing these fruits with the bats or with the animals. Some of them are like, okay, I think that makes me comfortable. And yeah, it is a very, very, very good approach that we have implemented.
My bus, your bus, our bus, our future. Again, let's go. My bus, your bus, our future. Okay.
Okay, I don't know if you were able to hear that. So this is a group from Kalingalinga Primary School. This was during our co-design workshop, and the young learners just had one of our slogans during our lessons, and yeah, shared with. So just play that again.
My bus, your bus, our bus, our future. Again, let's go. My bus, your bus, our future. Okay.
Okay, so the other approach away from the classrooms with us was that we have implemented during the Habitat Connections, Habitat Connections project. So the methods that we employed include biodiversity surveys, community surveys, bat walks, bird monitoring, invertebrate surveys, habitat assessments, as well as citizen science platforms. So we had 2 bat walks, and we had over 82 participants that participated in our 2 bat walks at the 2 golf clubs. These brought people from different backgrounds, different experiences, just sharing in how bat conservation in Southern Africa, how bats are an important part of our ecosystem. We also went on to survey on the golf clubs themselves, what species, nocturnal species are around these areas. We also had about 6 bird walks across the 2 golf clubs, just assessing bird species and other diurnal species that are found around the golf club. So some of the during our night walks was nocturnal survey, so the amphibian species that we found around golf clubs. So as I mentioned, we had about 82 participants that participated in the bat walks, and these are some of the pictures. This was during our survey at Bonanza Golf Club, such a huge area. We had about over 70 species of birds that we observed around Bonanza Golf Club. Then this was taken during our work party with the University of Zambia students, right at the Lusaka Golf Club. Okay, so this was one of our bat walks right here, right at the Lusaka Golf Club as well. Sorry, this was a bird walk. Yes, this was a bird walk right at the Lusaka Golf Club, where we observed several bird species around the golf club with birders from Birdwatch Zambia and other interested community members that joined in. So this is another work party that we had around the Lusaka Golf Club with the participating students and all other grassroots organizations that took part in our survey days or our work parties. Okay, and I'll make mention to say that during these surveys, community surveys with the community members and other individuals, we managed to train. Most of the people were new to biodiversity survey or the multi-species approach surveys. So we used iNaturalist a lot. So we conducted trainings on how to use iNaturalist, how to use eBird, and also we highlighted on fruit bat monitoring, the use of the Choreo app, which is BWB's fruit bat monitoring project. So we managed to train these individuals that participated during our walks on how to collect data and contribute to community science through these citizen science apps. Okay, so these are the key findings at Lusaka Golf Club. During our bat walks, we observed around 7 bat species. We had over 80 bird species that were recorded. We had about 50 invertebrates, that's including beetles, moths, butterflies, and the like. We had 1 amphibian species that we observed around the golf club. This could be attributed to the less natural seasonal water patches, probably. And yeah, we also observed other species, including this right here, the flap-necked chameleon, other species that were recorded, the tree agamas, geckos, other species that were recorded during our surveys. And then at Bonanza Golf Club, at least we had encountered diversity in terms of amphibians. We encountered at least 3 species of amphibians. We had 6 bats and 72 birds that we recorded during our walks. Okay, so like I had mentioned earlier, from the 2 golf clubs, we observed beetles, butterflies, birds, moths. And in terms of birds, we encountered various bird species, wetland birds, due to the water features that are around these golf clubs. So we observed wetland birds, woodland birds, raptors, insects, and other nocturnal species, the night jars and the like. We also observed fruit bats, apomorphous fruit bats or epauleted fruit bats, molluskids, vespers. We also contributed to the database in terms of knowledge on what's contained within these golf courses. So one of the key findings during these walks was the Lillian's lovebird. This was such a delight from our partners, Birdwatch Zambia, who were very, very elated to see this lovebird right at the Lusaka Golf Club, because it was outside its usual habitat range. It's usually associated to the Zambezi region where there's more pani type of habitat, but we was lucky to sight it right here at the Lusaka Golf Club, and it's a near threatened species. So that was one of the highlight of our surveys. Also just re-echoing the fact that golf courses indeed act as refuge for wildlife species that might be losing their actual homes outside these spaces. We also discovered new fruit bat roosts at Bonanza Golf Club, as well as at Lusaka Golf Club, where we would listen in on the sounds as we are navigating around the golf club. And we also were able to stumble upon Lantana camara that was ravaging the rough areas. As you can see, there's other vegetation right in this picture, but Lantana camara is also right covering some of the vegetation that's right in the rough areas. Okay, so this is just a video of the Lillian's lovebird.
Red. This is booking.
Okay, so that was the video of the Lillian's lovebird. This was quite, we had to take that recording, even though it's not quite clear, but we had to take that recording with our gadgets just to ensure that we have the evidence, because this is a very, very unusual sighting. And it was actually flagged on the eBird app because it's very way outside its range in terms of occurrence. And like I had highlighted earlier, this is the fruit bat roost, the African straw-colored fruit bat roost at the Lusaka Golf Club, and this is the epauleted fruit bat that roost that we discovered. And moving on, in terms of community action, we hosted several work parties to ensure that we manage manage and control the invasive Lantana camara at Lusaka Golf Club. So this Lantana camara was covering these rough areas and in turn reducing habitats for wildlife. It's listed as one of IUCN's West invasive species. And as part of our restoration works, we endeavored to ensure that we could physically or manually control it, as that's one of the best techniques that has been implemented in several areas out there. So this is during one of our work parties where we were pulling it out and cutting it out from these areas. So we had, like I had mentioned, several work parties, students, community members, organizations such as WWF, who were also represented and also highlighted on their works as well, in terms of the control of invasive species that they have been managing, such as Mimosa pigra and Zalvinia molesta in other areas or other regions of Zambia. So they came in and also highlighted on how best they came in and highlighted to our audiences and also shared with us how best we can ensure that this species is controlled and also in turn restoring these, improving the quality of habitats for wildlife within these golf courses. Okay, so this is the during our parties. We also had a working group, a working team that was right loud. Right. It is fantastic. That she's don't grow underneath. So we were ensuring that we pull it out and we ensure that we restore balance at the golf club. So this is just a short clip to highlight on how quite spread this Lantana Camara was. So this whole greenery you're seeing right here, this was the whole branch rather of Lantana Camara that the working team was trying to pull out from here. I'll play that again. Okay. So this is after. This is one of the areas we cleared. So this is after. The area really indeed opened up, and you could hear sentiments even from the working group itself highlighting how they would want to have a pitch in there because the place had opened up and it was so covered. It looked as if there was literally no space for anything. So yeah, we managed to clear a portion within the same rough areas covered by Lantana Camara. So after the clearing, we moved on into restoring the area because if you leave it as it is in a degraded state, it gives more room for more lantana to recolonize that area. So we moved on to plant trees, 50 native trees, and these plants rather that were selected to be replaced in these areas where we had cleared the lantana were selected also based on their adaptability and also their ecological value as well in terms of restoration. During our tree planting, we had several community members as well as people from different grassroots organizations that joined in with our restoration works. This is the team right here that worked tirelessly to ensure that we plant these trees in those areas that we had removed lantana from. And these are some of the species that we planted. We have the Natal mahogany, we have the albizia, the Cordia africana, and the like, and some fig as well, trees that we planted in these areas. So, and then at the schools as well, we moved on to plant fruit trees. As we know, fruit trees, they have a reputation of being taken care of because the benefits are far-reaching, not only for wildlife, but also for people as well. So we planted fruit trees at Ellensdale and Chateauneuf primary schools with the young learners. So this was during our tree planting activity at Ellensdale. We moved on to bat box installation at the schools. So the schools that were selected for the bat box installation are Ellensdale and Chateauneuf due to the landscape that they are located in. well within farming areas, and we know that bats actually do play a huge role in farming landscapes, ensuring that they help with controlling of pests and the like. Okay, and then we also featured in terms of other activities. We were featured for a nursery school. We have a nursery school lesson program where we read this book right here, Stella Luna, to the young learners, the nursery school learners. So we were featured at the American International School where we had these reading sessions through storytelling with the grade 2 classes. We also featured on the Youth Climate Summit, where we interacted with over 211 youths that are taking action towards climate change. We commemorated World Forest Day with Trees for Zambia. We were able to engage with Skills to Live, where we engaged with 52 young people from disenfranchised backgrounds. We were able to highlight how their skills, how their different paths can also relate in terms of and biodiversity and habitat conservation. We were also hosted at ZNBC Radio 4 and Radio 2, where we were highlighting on the habitat connections as well as Bats Without Borders and several works that we are championing across Southern Africa. Okay, so moving on to some of the challenges that we encountered during our project. Some of the challenges include school time, table scheduling. We had several challenges where we had issues with in terms of schools. Other programs would take precedent, maybe because of the changes in their timetables, and they would end up not having our lessons. We also had issues as well with the golf courses, especially on busy game days where you can't have you can't have a walk or work party or a nature walk around the golf club because it's quite busy with golf balls flying around. That's a risk and also hazardous and can harm. It can end up injuring any of the participants. So yeah, so these are some of the challenges that we encountered. And then on the other challenges that we encountered was on the golf course survey. Like I had mentioned, this is forming a case study or baseline study towards the multi-species focused conservation, especially for golf courses. So as part of this, we wrote out a survey that we shared on our pages, on our social media pages to reach out to golf clubs. We also sent out emails to ensure that they can participate in giving us feedback so that we are able to create an informed guidance pack that golf clubs can use as a guide for biodiversity conservation on their golf clubs. And we sent it out to about 120 golf clubs, but the challenge has been getting that feedback back. We only have a few responses, and we would need more responses just to have that evidence-based guidance pack for biodiversity conservation on golf clubs. So if there are any individuals joining us today and have any ties or connections with other golf clubs in their area, particularly Southern Africa, we would definitely appreciate your help in ensuring that this survey is far-reaching and reaches the golf course managers, the superintendents, the greenskeepers, but mostly the managers, so that we understand what type of feedback we can get and what type of guidance we can be able to give these golf clubs so that golf courses or clubs are managed effectively, sustainably for wildlife conservation. Okay, and last but not the least, some of the lessons that I learned during this project, so some of the lessons that were learned. Actually, one of the major lessons that I learned during this project include a quote that I have highlighted here. So connected habitats and biodiversity conservation rely on people's connections with nature. I was very much alive to the fact that there's so much work that needs to be done in ensuring that we improve those connections between people and nature. Most people are not aware of nature. That's within our environment, and if we improve those connections, definitely biodiversity and habitats will um, will be at least enhanced and also improved rather for the ultimate goal, which is nature conservation. So that's one of the major lessons that I learned. And I also just thought of sharing this quote from one of the young learners that was sent to us through the evaluation forms. And this young learner wrote to us and said, I feel important in your lessons. I feel happy. I would like to learn with you again. Bats are very interesting in this wonderful world. Thank you. There's several other beautiful quotes that were highlighted within the evaluation forms, but I just got to share this one with everyone here today. Okay, thank you very much for listening. We have come to the end of the Habitat Connections highlight. Thank you so much for your time and making it in today's session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Taonga, for that excellent presentation and just highlighting to us the importance of habitat connectivity for biodiversity conservation. There are a few questions in the chat that I would like to read, and maybe you can just briefly answer to or speak to those. The first one is from Mleva Shimbi. He's saying, from the farm circles I saw, are the farms not part of the engagement activities you do, bearing the environmental effects farms create on birds and other taxa?
Okay, is that the only question that I can respond to, or there's?
You can respond to that, and then I can ask the next
Okay.
one. Yes, you can
Okay,
just
great.
briefly respond to that. Yeah.
Okay, great. So during our engagements, we did have, especially during our bat walks, we did have a lot of people that have farms around those areas did attend our walks and talks, and really shared how indeed how they would be happy to contribute to protection of birds, knowing the ecological importance, especially in farmed landscapes. But in terms of actively being involved in the activities and other engagements, I would say no. But they were part of some of the walks and talks that were rolled out during the duration of the project.
Nice. There's another question from Tombiano. So Tombiano is saying, congratulations on a wonderful presentation today. My question is, what specific actions are you taking to conserve bird habitats, especially during the dry season when birds have a hard time finding places to drink water? So I don't know if you want to respond to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we have installed bird baths. I don't know if you saw a picture which I highlighted one of the some of the young learners carrying bird baths. So we have installed bird baths around the partner schools, especially Ellensdale and Chateauneuf School. So we have installed bird baths, which have been tasked to the young learners. They're responsible for them, and also their teachers will ensure that those bird baths are well taken care of, so that we provide alternative sources of water for birds, especially during the dry season. And also at the golf clubs as well, we have installed some other bird baths.
Excellent. So there's another comment and question coming from Angela. So Angela is saying, hi, Taonga, thank you for all that you do to help animals. When did you first become interested in birds? As a lifelong bird lover, I am so grateful that programs and organizations like these exist. It's so cool to meet you. So when first did you become interested in birds?
That's a very good one. I like that question. Okay. So previously I worked in an area that was in the outskirts. And that was after I had done my studies in wildlife management. And in that area, they were so nervous of bats. They were in their ceiling and they were trying to ask, they were actually asking me to say, what can we do to remove these bats? Like I need to spray them so that they can, they are pests. They need to get out of my ceiling. And for some reason, I had not taken time to really study about bats. And for some reason, I just found myself saying, no, you don't have to kill them. We can try to see their entry points and see if we can lure them out so that they can find another place instead of spraying them. And that's when I knew that I really needed to take an active role in conserving these species because at the time I didn't really know much about them as well. So I needed to learn more about them so that at least I can contribute in whatever way I can to ensure that people's fears and nervousness around them is reduced. And yeah, I think that's what sparked my interest in birds conservation.
Great. So I think on account of time, we'll take just two more questions and then you can also respond to that. The first one is saying, well-articulated presentation, Madam Taonga, gratitude for the amazing work you are doing for as Bats Without Borders. I didn't know that there's an organization focused on conserving bats. This is incredible work. Does your organization offer volunteering opportunities to such students who have developed keen interest in learning more about bats?
Okay, that's also a very good question that I get to encounter a lot. Bats Without Borders is definitely an organization, a small organization that has very big ambition for ensuring that bats and their habitats all across Southern Africa are protected. And in that regard, they do occasionally, as and when that needs arise, advertise for these positions, either volunteer, internship, training opportunities right on their pages. So you can please just stay glued to their social media platforms, Bats Without Borders on Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn to ensure that you stay well abreast with any information that is released in terms of opportunities. Yes. And in case you have any advice or you are a student who's particularly focused on batch-related studies, you can reach out to info or organizations' emails to seek mentorship and advice from experts that have worked tirelessly over a number of years to ensure that there's that information available.
Thank you very much. So I've put the email address in the chat, so you can just follow that one. And then the last question we'll take, I think it's coming from Vanessa, saying this is some incredible work you're doing. You spoke about finding out what the learners know about bats and the environment. How is this done? Do you test them on general bat and environment knowledge, or you just have a conversation with them?
Oh, that's a good question. So we have a form, a post-evaluation form that has several questions. In this form, we have a section where we ask the young learners to draw a picture of the bat, what they imagine a bat to be. And I'll tell you that during this first pre-evaluation, we get to see young learners draw birds, they draw insects as what they imagine to be bats. And we also have another section that highlights on what a bat is. We ask them questions, what is a bat? Is it a bird? Is it an amphibian? We also move on to ask them, what would you do if you saw a bat in your garden? Just to get that baseline information as to how and what they feel around bats. We have several true or false questions in there to also test them on their myths and beliefs on what they have been exposed to and the like. And yeah, so it's a form in other words.
Thank you. So thank you very much for that response, Taonga, and that was an excellent presentation. There are a lot of other exciting comments and questions in the chat, but I think on account of time, we'll not be able to take them on. But I want to thank everyone for finding time to be able to join today's Winged Wednesday webinar, and we hope again to see you next month on the 24th of June for another session from Bats Without Borders. We thank you all for coming and hope to see you again. And thank you very much to Taonga for that presentation. And may we continue to do the best we can for the conservation of bats, but also other different taxa. Thank you very much, and we'll see you again.